Good morning, everyone. It is a Sunday morning, and we're going to talk about personal debt. I know this is a great way to kick off a Sunday. So let me go ahead and get ready. I hope you are having a beautiful day. Some of you might be off to church. Some of you might be ready for, I don't know, it's not football season yet. Probably, 2 more weeks, and then you can waste away your Sunday mornings watching football. There you go. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share this out to our friends over at Budget School because today we're going to talk about debt and how to stop analyzing how to pay off debt and just pay the stuff off. And I'm going to tell you a quick little story. It's so funny. Every time I talk to people, I go out and speak a lot about money, and people ask me, like, how did you pay off debt? And I've read about all these different methods, and I tell them the method that I like, and then they proceed to debate me and tell me that what you're saying is wrong. And it's like, it's debt. It doesn't matter. Just get rid of it. Don't debate about it. Just get rid of it. Because there is a big difference between wasting time reading all the different methods of paying off debt and actually paying off the debt. So we're going to talk about different ways that you can pay off your debt, like the different methods, not, some of these methods. And there's really only about three hardcore methods that that most people use when it comes to getting rid of debt. So we're going to be doing that today. And I hope you're having an amazing morning. Hey, Chelsea, how you doing? So for those of you, if I'm popping up in your feed, you're listening to the podcast and you have no idea what you're listening or watching. I am Phylecia Jones, budgetologist and solopreneur money management expert, and you are watching Ask the Budgetologist. Now, I come to you live every morning around 7:45 a.m. Mountain Time-ish. On the weekends, the ish kind of goes because I sleep. But I answer any questions you have around business, budgeting, and solo entrepreneurship. And of course, I give you tons of unsolicited financial advice. Now, I am here to help out business owners that have personal finances because I understand what it takes to manage that thin line of business finances and personal finances. So I am the person who is here to help you understand every last bit of it. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them for you. Hey, Jerry, how you doing? How's life been treating you, Jerry? How has life been treating you? So we're going to talk about all the different methods to paying off debt. But first, I got to let you know, it is September. The theme for this month, which kicks off tomorrow, is the next 90 days. We are going to drill down into your money, your business, what you sell, what you don't sell, so that we can have a plan to end the fourth quarter, because what you do in the next 90 days, you'll see the rewards or nothing in the 90 days after. So we got to have a plan for how we're going to end 2018, because this will dictate how we start 2019. So we're going to do all the things. And for all the folks who are speakers, we are kicking it off this month. So I'm going to be talking about money, but I'm going to be talking about feeding your budget through speaking. So for all of my speakers, for all of my business owners that use speaking this month, I am launching a brand new class. So you're going to start hearing all about that tomorrow as well. It's called How to Land Your Next 5 Speaking Gigs. It's a DIY course. And I have a 6-week accelerator program where you and I can get together and we will make sure that we get gigs on your calendar. All you have to do is go over to keepupwithmrsjones.com. Tomorrow, I'm going to give you the direct link so that you'll know exactly where to go, so that you'll know what is happening. All right, let's get deep and down into this thing called debt. Now, like I said, there are so many methods when it comes to paying off debt. There is the snowball method where you put your debt in order from the lowest to the highest, and then you pay them off one by one. There is the interest only method, and it's not called the interest only, but it's where you take the debt with the highest interest and you pay those off one by one by one. Then there's some methods where people say, you know what, if you got a bunch of savings and you have debt, where you take all of the savings and you squash out all of that debt and get rid of it. Those are the only like basic methods to annihilate debt at one time. Now we could talk about getting jobs and things like that, but those are just other ways to kind of feed, like I said, it's other ways to feed the budget so that we can pay off the debt even faster. And I guess the other way is, some of the other ways is that you can not borrow the money. You can ask your family for money, but that doesn't really work out a lot for a lot of people. So if that method works for you, go ahead and try it. But I really want to talk about all these different methods, all the philosophies when it comes around paying debt. The snowball method, the highest interest to lowest interest, wiping out your bank account. I know people who say, put it all on a credit card and do the balance transfer game. I want to eliminate all of those. I want to eliminate more refinancing your house. I want to eliminate all of the balance transfer ways to get rid of debt. Anything that requires you to borrow other money. We're going to get rid of all of those. We're going to go down to the hardcore methods of how you do this DIY without any help. Because some of the other methods, and they are out there where you do the balance transfer game, where I have seen that people end up creating more debt with their credit cards when they do that one. If you can master it, that's great, but I'm not really going to address it because I don't like it when people who have not mastered the art of managing money, when they start playing with other people's monies, that's when it gets a little scary for me. And that's why I don't particularly like that method. Then there's methods where people consolidate their debt into their homes. It works. It will free you up. But guess what? You got rid of other loans and you increase the others. It works. It helps you with a little bit of stress so the debt isn't everywhere. But the reason why I don't like that method as much is because usually, hey Sonia, how you doing? Usually I don't particularly care for that method as much because most people haven't learned the art of how not to get into more debt again. And then now you've consolidated the debt, but you've increased more debt. And that's why I don't like the consolidations, consolidating into a mortgage or doing consolidation loans, only because I kind of call them like the last ditch methods. And if you're doing them, it's no judgment or anything. Do what you need to do that works for you. But I just always say be careful because typically people haven't learned their lesson about debt when they start playing around with consolidation type repayments. And I'm only saying that because I've gone through that myself. I got into a reconsolidation type loan thing or a reconsolidation repayment, and it just worked out so horribly wrong because I didn't learn my lesson because I went out and got more debt on another credit card. So I didn't learn my lesson, and that's why I'm not too keen on those. But we're just going to talk mainly about all of these different methods. And what I really want to tell you is it kind of doesn't matter. My goal for you is to get out of debt. And I know a lot of people will debate me and say, well, the snowball method is just wrong. You're going to increase debt here. Or some people say the interest only method is wrong or is better. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter. The goal is to get out of debt. The goal is hands down to get out of debt. And to some degree, I really don't care what method you choose. I want you to see the outcome. And I don't want you to get back into the debt game again. That's the only thing. That's the promise you have to make to yourself in that, all right, when I get out of debt, never again. So here's my debt story. I came out of school and I had a little bit of student loans. I wasn't like a lot of people that come out with like $100,000, $200,000 in student loans. I had a little bit, but my nemesis of choice, my drug of choice when it came to the debt game was credit cards. That's how I funded everything because I was living way above my means. And I was going credit card to credit card. I did the credit card dance. And I did all the, interest only. I'll do this interest and I'll move this balance over to this. I'll write a check from this credit card to do this. And it just went so horribly wrong that at some point, I only had about at the maximum was about $25,000 in debt. But the problem was I kept getting back into it. I'd pay it down and get right back into it again. And I did all the things. Trust me, I did everything possible. I borrowed from my 401k to pay off debt and it worked. But the problem was now my paycheck was less. And, my paycheck was less, but I was okay with that because I didn't want to be in debt anymore. But, and I learned my lesson and I said, when I would do those extreme methods, I would say borrowing from your 401k, cashing out a 401k, consolidation loans, repayment consolidations. I call those extreme methods of debt. And if you have to go to an extreme method of repaying debt or paying off debt, please make a promise to yourself that you will never, ever get into that situation again. And that's what I had to do with myself when I went that method. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go this method and it's never going to happen again. But I know what happens. It'll happen again a little bit. So my next step in repaying all of the debt was I was starting to build up a savings account. For once in my life, I finally started building up my savings account. And I had about, oh my gosh, I never had this much money. I had about $8,000 just left, and I was repaying some debts. I incurred some other. So what I did an extreme method. I put my house up for sale. I cleared out all of my savings accounts. I cleared out my bank account. And of course I had already taken the loan out against my 401k. I paid off everything. I paid off everything. I moved in. No, I was on a project. So I was back and forth staying in hotels from where I lived and in another state. And I did that like every 3 weeks. So I kind of knew I had somewhere to stay in a different state, but I put everything in storage. When I came back home, I would stay with my boyfriend, and I put my cat up with him. I paid him rent so that she can live with him. When I came, my boyfriend's my husband now. And I would just stay with him because I knew if I was going to go to an extreme method of paying off debt, I was never, ever, ever, ever going to get back in that situation again. And that's the real deal when it comes with debt. It's not about debating which's the best way. It's not about debating your method is wrong, my method is right. The goal is to just get rid of it and make the huge promise to yourself that you will never get in that situation again. I know what it's like to have the stress of debt on you. I know what it's like to have credit card companies calling you every day. I have a friend right now, like every 5 minutes, like she was just like the 800 number is just popping up on your cell phone. Thank goodness I actually did have a landline back then, so I just like turned the ringer off. But I know what that is like. It is stressful. It is, I don't know, it's humbling. It's humbling because you're you're almost at your lowest point when you're so desperate for money. You're so desperate for money. And when I say when you take these extreme methods, to pay off debt and to get that burden off of you, first I want you to make sure you promise to yourself that you will never, ever, ever find yourself in the situation ever again. Just don't do it. Okay? Never again. For those of you, the other methods that I truly do like, I only like the snowball method, to be honest, when it comes to paying off debt. Paying off debt with the snowball method means you take your lowest debt and you make a list of your lowest to highest amounts that you owe on all of your debts. Friends, family, credit cards, car loans, house, and usually your house stays at the very, very bottom because that's a huge one. But you make sure your student loan gets in there and all these little credit cards and all these little, payday loans and all those things go on that list. And what you do is that you pay off the debt from the smallest to largest. Everything else goes on the minimum payment due, and then everything else goes from you pay off the smallest one first and then move that money to pay off the next and keep moving until all the debt is gone. I truly do like the snowball method because of the psychological wins you get with it. It is so much fun when you see that I owe you nothing, you go away. I owe you nothing, you go away. It's such a huge psychological win when you get into that, when you start paying off debt that way. The other method that a lot of people use, I call this DIY, not using other people's loans to help you pay off debt, but it's the interest only. It's the highest interest to lowest interest repayment of debt. Now, this is where you get in all the math turns. all the math terms, yes, it is best if you pay off the highest interest because you're paying more money on that debt. But the problem with the high interest method of paying off debt is that sometimes your highest interest might be a huge amount of money. And like, so let's get rid of a house or something like that. But say the highest interest is your car and you owe $35,000 on that. But the next lowest one is a credit card where you owe $1,000 and then you owe another credit card with 300. The problem with that method is that trying to chip away at a $35,000 loan, when you have these little dangling ones, I call it the dangling loans, $1,000, 300, 10,000. When you have those and you start going after the big one, it can feel really defeating. It can feel really defeating in that you're putting every last dime into that loan, but you got these other little ones that you could have gotten rid of a long time ago and to help alleviate some of that pressure. So I understand the interest only method. It makes total sense. In a math nerd's brain like mine, it makes total sense. But when you have a lot of debt and you need a win, when it comes to debt, sometimes you just need some wins right then and there to say it is gone so you could feel a little bit better about yourself. And when I see some of my friends who do have $100,000 in student loans, but they may have a $5,000 credit card loan and they put every effort into that student loan. It takes a lot of years and a lot of money to pay off a loan like that. It does. And you will feel very defeated after a while. So that's why I like the snowball method, in that you can get rid of these little baby debts and just get rid of them. And I know a lot of people, I've been through these debates before. People will debate me up and down. Oh, Phylecia, you're wrong. Oh, Phylecia, this method is better. You know what? I don't care. And you shouldn't care either. Find a method that works for you and get rid of the debt. I don't really care what you do to get rid of debt. The end goal is the same. Get rid of it as fast as you can. That is the end goal. Now, like I said, my method, I didn't necessarily do the snowball method. I call it the scorched earth method. I literally took every last dime to pay off all the debt. I did one of the extreme methods. I paid off every last dime. I put my house up for sale. I slightly went homeless, and this is not to make fun of people who are really, really homeless, but I didn't have a place to live. I was still getting a paycheck, but I really did go slightly, maybe I'll call it nomad like, but it was slightly homeless. And then I didn't really have, somewhere to stay. I was bouncing around for about a year and a half, so that I could get rid of this debt. But on the other side of it, now remember, we talk about two sides of the budget. You definitely need a budget when you're paying off debt, because the expenses need to be cut. But we also need to feed the budget so that we can keep paying off this debt. Now, I went the extreme method of, I cut my expenses, dumped everything out of my bank accounts, and for a while I did go like paycheck to paycheck, because a lot of my paycheck went to repaying back the 401k loan that I took out against myself. So my paycheck was actually pretty minimal. Like I said, I did some extreme things, but on the other side of that, I absolutely did go out and try to generate more income to help make this go a lot faster. So while I was bouncing back and forth, I was on different projects. I was able to pick up a little bit more money when I was doing all these different projects to pay off the debt. So in the end, paying off debt requires like a two-sided effect. Either you got to start, look at your budget, look at your money now, cut the expenses. And when I say cut them, I mean cut them. Trust me, this girl did not get her hair done. Woo, it was painful. Now, I'm going to lie, I got my hair done. Yeah. I'm not going to not get my hair done. But no, I did things like I didn't get my nails done anymore. I didn't get my eyebrows waxed anymore. I went back to plucking. I stopped buying makeup. I stopped doing a whole bunch of things. I stopped shopping. I did all those things to cut the expenses, like going out to eat. Didn't do that as often. But On the other side was I went out and found some income so that I could pay off all of this debt so that I wouldn't be in this situation. But here's the thing. You can debate me all you want. You could sit up here and take the next 6 months to look at all the different methods of paying off debt. You already know what to do. Paying off debt is like dieting and losing weight. And I don't want to say dieting, but paying off debt is just like losing weight. It's exactly like losing weight. You already know what you need to do. You just got to commit to it. You already know everything that you need to do to lose weight. Hey, Carol Ann McCormick, how you doing this morning? We're talking about paying off debt. So, like I said, paying off debt is just like losing weight. You already know what you need to do. There's tons and tons and tons and tons of books. You can, if there's a bookstore even this day and age, or you can go to tons of websites and they'll tell you exactly what it is. And the methods are the same. Stop eating as much and move more. Eat less, move more. I mean, that's kind of the basics. And I know somebody actually debated that one. Like, no, that's not how you lose weight. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. That's like when it comes down to it, you just stop eating as much and you start moving a little bit more than what you have been. I mean, that's it. I don't know. But in between there's a bunch of different methods, keto, paleo, and all those things. Choose the one that works for you. It's no different than paying off debt. The end goal is the same. Make more, spend less. I mean, that's just straight up how it works. And I know a lot of people get very upset with me when they need to pay off debt and I tell them to go get another job or get a better paying job. They're like, well, that doesn't work that way. Yes, it does. There's only 2 ways to get rid of debt. Spend less, make more, and actually pay it. The method you choose to get rid of debt, don't really care. You could do the snowball method. You could do the interest method. You can wipe out your bank account. You could borrow from you can get the money from a rich friend. You can go sell things. It doesn't matter. Just pay it off because the end goal is the same for everything. You say you want to be financially free. You want to do all the things you want to do. You want to travel. You want to spend more time with your family. Here's the thing. While you're going through your journey to get rid of debt, it's going to be stressful. But if you choose not to go through that journey to get rid of debt, you're going to be on this cycle for a very long time. You're going to be on this cycle. And to be honest, it's a very unhealthy cycle. It's a cycle that will induce a lot of stress in your life. You might find that you will gain more weight. You're snappier with your friends. You ruin friendships because you're just not in a happy place. That's what happens when you kind of keep in this cycle of debt. You don't live the life that you say that you want. So the end goal that I want for you is just to pay it off. Find a method that works and commit to it. And on the other side, when you are out of debt, when you start building your wealth, I want you to promise yourself, write it down, promise everyone. And this is the thing I had to do. I said, never again, never, ever, ever again will I find myself in that type of financial situation. If you do not say that out loud, if you don't say that out loud with conviction in your heart and your soul, you will find yourself in debt again. You will absolutely find yourself in debt again. So you got to make a promise to yourself and have some conviction in it that you'll never find yourself in this situation again. Now, if you have any questions, put them down in the comment box. If you have any questions on paying off debt, I'm here. I know it's a Sunday morning and, our fingers may not be in typing mode, but I'm here to help you whatever way I can when it comes to paying off debt. If you need to do a one-on-one session with me, all you have to do is go to keepupwithmrsjones.com/jumpstart. Seriously, keepupwithmrsjones/ blah, blah, blah. keepupwithmrsjones.com/jumpstart. This is where you and I can get on the phone. We can find the method that works for you because the end goal is the same, to get rid of debt and to never, ever get in that situation again. I'm putting the link down in the comment box for those of you listening to the podcast. All you have to do is go over to keepupwithmrsjones.com/podcast and the links will be over there as well. So if I can help you in any way, you know how to find me. I hope you have an amazing Sunday. And for the month of September, let me do a quick rundown of what we're going to talk about in September. Oh my gosh. I'm not prepared. I'm not prepared. But I got everything. I got it. Trust me. I got this. I got this. All right. For the month of September, is the theme is the next 90 days. This is dedicated to all my business owners, my coaches, my consultants, my speakers, my authors. It's time for us to plan, throw down a gauntlet, and figure out how we're going to end 2018, because how we end 2018 is how we begin 2019. And I know you're like, Phylecia, it's not the end of the year yet, but in business world, it's almost the end of the year. So what we're going to do every Monday, we're going to talk about the 90-day review of business finances. We're going to be reviewing your finances. I'm going to go very hard on you so that we'll know exactly what our numbers are doing. So we'll know exactly what to do. Tuesdays, are you prepared to get on stage? Tuesdays are dedicated to my speakers. We're going to talk about, are you ready to get on stage so that you can make some money? Wednesdays, we're going to talk about the mental stamina and motivation to end the year. Woo! I'm going to have some guests. I'm going to have guests on this month. Hopefully, we're working on Mr. Mike Michalowicz, the author of Profit First. I'm going to bring on Miss Tiffany Lanier. She's my business coach. We're going to talk about morning routines, because you're going to have the mental stamina and motivation to like tackle the last 3 months of 2018. And Thursdays, we're going to do how will you end the year revenue wise. We're going to talk about how you're going to make money. Remember, it's two sides of the budget, managing the budget and then feeding it. So always on Thursdays, how are you going to make money and how will you end the year revenue wise? Fridays, morning routines. We're going to talk about morning routines so that you can get up and get going. Saturdays, of course, behind the scenes, I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm doing. And then Sundays, for my non-business owners and for those of you who have personal finance goals, we're going to talk about savings goals and savings accounts. How to jumpstart your savings goals for the end of the year. Oh my gosh, I'm really looking forward to September. And of course, I'm going to be on stage quite a few times, so it's going to be a crazy month. I will be speaking next Saturday at the Women of Denver quarterly networking party. You can go to keepupwithmrsjones.com. You can see all my upcoming speaking engagements. I'm going to be on the Profit First podcast with Mr. Mike Michalowicz. Excited about that. September 20th, I will be the MC of the South Metro Denver Chamber of Commerce Women in Business Conference. First time MCing, really excited about that one. After that, I'm literally on the road. I'm going to be in Orlando. I'm going to be on the road September 15th for training, but September 22nd, I'm off to Orlando. I'm speaking at Success Incubator, a really small, intimate conference that I absolutely adore. I'm speaking on a panel on quitting your job and going full-time into entrepreneurship at FinCon. And I'm also doing a talk on how to land your next how to find your next 21 speaking gigs. And of course, for my speakers, all this month, I'm promoting my speaking class and my speaking accelerator. So tomorrow I'll give you more deets on that. So I hope you have an amazing Sunday. Hope you stick around for the month of September. For those of you, if you can't watch me every day, all you got to do is go find me on Ask the Budgetologist. That's the podcast that this show is on. This show is on? No, this show is the podcast. So you can take me with you on a plane, on a train, on the treadmill, and you can hear me help you get prepared for the next 90 days. Have an amazing day. Take care and happy budgeting. Bye.